It's Alan, not Alan, right? Alan.
Alan, yeah.
Yeah, Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a South African, so we connected a little over Southern Africa vibes there. But
Right.
yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been working here for about a year and a bit now, year and a half maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Great guy. Works hard.
Awesome. So we are officially live.
Cool.
Let me see. Let me see if I can switch on. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we are live. We'll just wait a couple of minutes.
No problem.
We've got Mohammed. Thanks for joining, Mohammed. How's it going? Let me overlay the comments here so we can see them. There we go.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
Thanks for joining, Mohammed. So everyone who's online, just give us a shout so we know you're here. And just tell us a little bit about what you do. So are you a design? Are you into research? Are you product? That will help us steer our questions in your direction. Sneha, thank you so much, Sneha. Thanks for joining. We'll be starting off in about 2 minutes. We'll just wait for a few more people to come online. Then we'll kick off with Sudipt.
Yeah. But you always do this on a Friday evening, 6 p.m.?
Yes, I always do it Friday evening.
Why? Is there any reason or just?
There's a big reason. So I work at a bank and Friday is our only half day.
Oh, I see. Right.
So it's the only day I actually get the time to do this because I work in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So I usually get home just before 6:30 every day.
Okay.
So yeah, Friday is the ideal day.
Yeah.
And it's a nice way to start the weekend, you know.
Okay. Good. Right.
Mohammed is a developer interested in UI UX. Awesome.
Cool.
Honey James, yes, I know Honey James.
Yeah.
Oh, so I thought you were a product designer. I didn't know you were specifically research. Because I remember when you came onto the scene and you were connected with Jonathan, and yeah, I thought you were a designer. Cool. So Alan, the one and only. Thanks for joining,
Yeah.
Alan. All right, awesome. So I think we can get started.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks everyone for joining. We've got Sudipt here from DOT, Digital of Things, and he's also representing UserQ, which is a company / product / project, exciting, that he just started recently. So yeah, thanks for joining, Sudipt.
No
First
problem.
CEO to come on here. So I am super honored to have you and super excited to hear what you have to say, because I feel like it's going to be very valuable.
Cool. I hope so. Thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Sudipt.
Mm-hmm.
What's your journey been so far? How did you end up in Dubai running 2 companies?
Okay. Yeah. Great question. So just going back, so I've always been in digital and tech all my life. My degree's actually been in business and IT. Back in the day, I won't reveal when it was because that reveals my age, but it was a long time ago.
And your white hair reveals your age.
Yeah, it's 2003. So let's see who can work that out. But yeah,
that's
it's been
only
a long
2
time.
years older than me. No,
oh, really?
3 years. 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, and then so I've been in digital and tech. I used to do a lot of things related to UX and digital at that time. My last job in the UK was for a bank. So I was actually in UX for Lloyd's Banking Group. Always wanted to move to Dubai. I've been visiting since 1999, I think it was. It was only Burj Al Arab, nothing else. It was all sand. Like where I live right now, where my office is, It was just sand and desert. I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I visited every year, and I just saw the growth, of the Middle East and the region, and I thought, okay, I need to be here. This is where things are happening.
Yeah.
And it took me ages to decide to move. So I moved in 2016, 7 years ago. But I always wanted to do a business here because I saw the growth and I saw the potential of it. But I thought, let me work somewhere first, understand the culture, build up the network, and then I can
Right.
decide what to do.
Right.
So I came over to work for Emirates Airline. So I was in the product space. I was actually a product manager, but dealing with UX over at Emirates. So it's a great company, great job. I loved it. But when I came to the country in 2016, and maybe you like the guys on the call today as well, I noticed that the UX of apps was really bad. Like you
Yeah.
can't imagine. 7 years ago, it was horrible. Not just the banking apps, but anything in e-commerce. I remember I had to buy something from an e-commerce website, and I made the order, added everything to basket, and pressed checked out, and the screen disappeared, and it said, "Okay, thank you." And I'm like, what happened? And then someone
Oh,
physically called me to take my payment. And I'm like, what is this, right? So I noticed there's a massive gap, and I saw this a lot while I was at Emirates in the 2 years. Now, Emirates was at the forefront. They were kind of ahead, and they were hiring UX guys, they were hiring UI, they were doing a lot of research. But the rest of the region was still kind of catching up. And I noticed that there's a gap in the market for good UX, and good, great experiences, seamless experiences. And also research. I used to have to travel to London from Emirates to do usability testing. And I was
wow.
like, okay, that's crazy. Like, why? It's because there wasn't any kind of dedicated agencies to UX and research.
So what were you missing here that London had? Was it
So
the
they,
equipment? Was it the people, the
it
talent?
was everything. So the talent, equipment. So they had lots and lots of labs that we could hire out.
Yeah.
The whole process of usability testing is quite mature there, so it's very easy to do. It's very efficient to do. It just took time for scheduling and traveling there. Very
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
And there was no one like here that was truly focused on user research. That's what I noticed, and UX. So then I thought, okay, this is my calling. Let me leave and start this company. It's a brave move at that time,
Wow.
but you kind of don't think about it. You kind of just go ahead, and then when you look back, so 5 years later, you're like, oh my god, what did I do? But
Did you have a family when you did that?
so that's the crazy thing. I launched the business when I had my first baby.
Oof.
So I had,
You're
it
brave.
was crazy. So I had Emirates, started this business, and had a baby, just to add more pressure to my
Wow.
life. So it was. I mean, it's tough because you're handling a lot of things, but like I said, you kind of just go with it, And I was convinced that there's a gap. The region's changing, and I mean, you guys will notice now the number of jobs available and the number of UX talent here compared to 5 years ago. It's crazy. It's
Oh yeah,
absolutely crazy.
it's exponential for sure.
Yeah, and like the design industry is just growing, exponentially here. 5 years ago, that wasn't the case. 6 years ago, it wasn't the case at all. But I knew that this shift is coming. There's a young population here. Smartphone penetration is very, very high. So naturally, everyone's gonna want good UX, right? And the
Yeah.
customers want good UX. And then I saw lots of other international companies coming in, like the Amazon when they bought Circle, or the Ubers. And what happens then is if you've got these great state-of-the-art companies coming in, customers are not going to be forgiving now for bad UX, right? They're going to say, hey, I can order a taxi now in a couple of clicks, but yeah, I can't make a bank payment. It takes me ages to do that. So the perception changes. And that's why I think UX and design as a whole, as industry in this region, has just gone mad. So it was right timing for us, to be honest. We
Wow.
launched 5 years ago. So yeah, and that's it. And we just kind of kicked off from there. That's the background of the story.
Wow. So how did you actually let's go to the beginning of DOT. How did you find your co-founder? Who were the first people you hired? And
Yeah.
what was the vision for the company? How were you planning to scale it and acquire customers?
Cool. Okay. So my co-founder is Brooke, and I met her in Emirates. So we used to work very, very closely together for projects within Emirates. And then I told her that, look, my aim is to start my own business. This is what I want to do in Dubai. And she said, okay, I'll join you. And I'm like, okay, no, hold on. You don't even know what it is. What do you mean you join me? She goes, no, I just want to follow that journey and I want to be part of it. And she said, okay, I made her sign an NDA. And then I told her what I want to do. And she's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's exactly what this region needs, I'm going to join
Yeah.
you. And I said, okay, it's a big risk. You know, we're leaving our steady jobs to do something different. Are you ready for it? And she said, yeah. And so she supported me. She's still with us now, and she's supported me in a way for the last 5 years. So that's how we started. But with any kind of business, especially here, you need to start the pipeline going, right? So we started the pipeline before, you know, getting people to come, meeting everything. And it's a funny story. Like the day I left Emirates was my first usability test that I did for a client. The same day. So yeah, I left
That's some
Emirates.
serious planning right there.
Yeah, it was great planning. I mean, Brooke left a bit earlier, so she was helping with the pipeline stuff. But I remember the day I left, I had to come straight into the office because the last of the usability testing sessions were going on, and that was our first customer. So the transition period was very quick. It's because we were planning up to it. You know, we were leading up to building the pipeline and everything. In terms of hires, it was just Brooke and I, and we also had an office manager that helped with the admin, the process, and the fit out of the office. Because we built a lab, and what most people were doing at that time were, we've got an office space, let's build a little user testing room, right? And it was very amateur. It was very, you know, strings and sellotape, right? What we did is we built the usability lab first, and then we built the office around it. So that was our core thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we needed someone on the ground that can help with the fit outs and make sure that things are happening, because we got equipment in from Europe. We had fit out contractors here. And there's a lot going on. So we had an office manager as well.
And how was it funded? Bootstrapped, or you managed to raise some money?
It's bootstrapped.
Up until today?
Up until today, it's been bootstrapped completely.
Wow, congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank you. It's Brooke and I that's been you know, doing it. And touch wood, we were lucky. We were lucky that we just got clients that appreciated research and testing, and they wanted a service like this. And then we just, what happens is, so in terms of hiring, as a bootstrap founder, when you don't have cash, you got to go with your gut sometimes, right? So when the pipeline was there, I thought, okay, this project's coming in. I know for a fact, like it's in my heart, you know, it wasn't signed or anything. If you wait till it's signed, then it's too late, because by the time you hire someone, it's going to take you a month, 2 months. And especially in a country like UAE, because you got to get their visa, you got to make them ship their whole life from somewhere else, right? So we had to do a lot on gut feeling at that time. And it worked well. Like we hired our first two kind of just before a project was signed, a big project. And luckily we signed one of our big projects in the first month of launching. So that enabled me to hire 2 more people. So by that time we had 5 within like the first month, but second month, something like that.
Right. So again, you were leveraging you and Brooke's professional credibility, right? Because by then the company really didn't have any track record. So what did that pitch look like?
So when the company so we're using our experiences. So the case studies were, this is what I've done in my past, not what Dot has done, not what Digital Things has done, what we've done in the past. And that worked. And we were transparent about it. You know, we're saying, guys, we're very new, we're a new company. And what I found is something about this region, actually. What I found is, if I had to do this in Europe or UK, it wouldn't have gone as quickly as it would have done here. And there's a couple of reasons for that. In the UK, because there's so many companies out there, everyone looks at, okay, show me your certification, show me your, you know, policies, show me your background, show me everything. In UAE, there's like, okay, there's one company that does this, right? Let's just use them. Do I get along with the founders? Yep, he seems like a nice guy. He's going to make it happen, you know. And so it enabled me to, because of the region and the speed of execution, people just want to get things done, right? And there's you can see that it's a fast-moving country. So that really, really helped us. Like one example I gave is we won a really big project with a really great brand in the first month. Then I met up with them afterwards, after we won the project. And I said, guys, just tell me, why did you choose us? You know, we're 3 people. We're like 1 month old, you know? And they said, look, we just trusted that you solve our problem for us. We had an issue. You said, this is how you solve it. All the other agencies said, here's your problem. This is how you solve it. But by the way, let me sell you everything else on top, right? It said, you didn't do that. What you said is, okay, this is how you're going to solve it. It's going to take you this much time. And they said, we just trusted you that you're going to get it done based on your experience. And that's when I realized that UAE is all about relationships. It's about trust. It's about who you get along with. and the right kind of culture and the mindset. So that's how it kind of went forward. Once we won that first project, because you've got a brand that is really good that you've won, again, your case studies have just built up now, right? And because it's a large sum, you can hire,
Yes.
and then keep it going, and then you just start building the business after that. So
Amazing. So if DOT was already doing research, where does UserQ come in?
so so DOT, we're, like I said, we're a specialist UX company. So we do research, and research forms a big part of our business right now. And we also do UX UI. So we do everything from information architecture, wireframes, design. But we also do product strategy. We get involved in a lot of things. User research, we started off with usability testing, but now we do all kinds of research like card sorting, focus groups, in-depth interviews. We do, everything basically that comes under research. So those are the kind of two different elements, two different services. Research makes up quite a big part of our revenue at the moment. And it's great to see, because 5 years ago, when I started Digital Things, we had to educate a lot of customers on the importance of research. And I'm sure people, I'm sure people on the call, everyone knows and they can relate and say it's still going on now. But as a person that deals with this on a day-to-day basis with multiple clients, it's completely different to 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had to explain. I mean, I've had questions from clients saying, "Oh, what is a wireframe?" This is literally the questions from the digital team, right? 5 years ago, and I'm like, "What is this?" Right? So we had to sell and educate a lot on user research at the beginning. Now it's completely different. Now, if in our proposals we've got light research, clients come and say, "No, hold on, we need to do much more."
Wow.
Iterative research, and I'm like, "Okay, this is good, nice to see." So research has suddenly blown up. Like, everyone understands that UAE is so diverse, 200 nationalities, a different kind of demographic, a different cultural mindset.
Yeah.
So understanding them is super critical to create good user experiences, right?
Exactly.
So we've seen that a lot. So research, we get bombarded, by the way, like all the time with research requests now. Because it is an art. Some people think it's very easy to do research. No, it's not. The way you write a discussion guide, the participants you recruit, there's a whole art behind it. So it's not easy. And people come to us for that expertise. But recently, what's happened is a lot of people said, actually, we want cross-border research. So we want to, not just the UAE, but we want to know about Saudi. We want to know about Egypt. We want to know about Bahrain, Kuwait, right? So there's a cross-border. And sometimes they want very quick research. So we do a lot of qualitative research, like in-depth interviews, in person. But a lot of people said, actually, you know what? We just want to validate a design decision, or we want to do a quick survey, or your card sorting is great, but it's very expensive because it's in person and there's a lot of resources involved. Isn't there something that we can do, quickly? So we developed UserQ, which is like MENA's first user research platform. It's a self-serve tool to allow you to do user research very quickly and easily.
Okay.
And we're solving, I would say, 3 pain points compared to the global tools. So everyone's heard of things like Maze, Optimal Workshop, Usability Hub, user testing, and they're all great. They're all really, really great tools. But the problems we're solving is you cannot access customers from MENA or users from MENA with those tools. They're more US and Europe based. If you try and recruit, it's very difficult to get people from MENA. So we've got this UserQ, the main USP is a MENA database that we have. You can choose the nationalities, you can choose the region they live in, whether it's Dubai, Abu Dhabi, anywhere. That's one pain point. The other one is a lot of these tools don't allow you to create the test in Arabic. Now, Arabic is still prevalent in this region, especially Saudi. So if I want to do exactly. And if you want to do like a card sort or a tree test online, you want to be able to write the cards in Arabic, right? You want to write the survey questions in Arabic, not just translate it, but actually physically write it. So we're solving that second pain point. And the other pain point is a personal pet peeve of mine. Everyone has monthly subscriptions. All these tools have monthly subscriptions. It's tiring, and you have to sign up for a year when your research could be more ad hoc. Sometimes research is, I quickly want to test something out, right? And 6 months later, I'll do something else. So we've got a pay-as-you-go pricing mechanism. It's like, when you want to use the tool, you pay us. If you don't pay us. So you're not tying into or an annual subscription. So they're the 3 that we're trying to solve. That's where UserQ came from. Yeah.
Right. Wow. That's incredible. So everyone online, any questions, anything you want to know about user queue, just drop them in the chat. So I think everything you've said is amazing, and it's a segue to one of the questions I had for you actually.
Right.
With the advent of these language models that have popped left, right, and center,
Yeah.
you mentioned that user research isn't easy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now machine learning, AI, these language models are making research easy, especially the ones that are connected to the net?
I think it's still early stages. I think it will get much easier later on as the whole what do you call it? It develops, but you still need that human element. I think what I think AI and these tools will do is it will make your job a bit easier. It will make it a bit more efficient. You know, like
Right.
say you want a baseline of a discussion guide, for example. I don't know. I'm just giving it out there, right? Let's write something out here, but I still think you need that human element. We actually did a very quick exercise internally. We did a usability test, and then we asked ChatGPT for one and said, here's the context, here's the background, can you write a discussion guide for this? And we compared the human approach to the model approach. And we realized that you still need to provide some sort of context. There are some human elements that need to be there. I'm not saying it won't change. In the future, it could, right? Because that's the whole power of machine learning and AI. I just think the speed of getting there, I'm not sure how long it will take. I still think you still need that element of users. At the end of the day, research is about dealing with people, right? It's not about dealing with machines. It's people dealing with people. And how much can these new tech take over? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's still a bit of a way to go before we get there. But I still think it will make certain things easier. It will make certain things more efficient, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right because I think research is unique from the perspective that you'd need a lot of face-to-face interaction a lot of the time from what I've seen, especially in the region with Emirati locals, for example.
Yeah.
It's a lot more efficient if you're face-to-face, and that's actually what they prefer.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in saying the tools then help make that interaction a lot more efficient.
Exactly. If it's like results analysis and that makes it easier, I don't know. That will help for sure, right? Setting up the thing. Yeah, there are certain bits that I think it will help in the process to make it more efficient. But I still think the human element is needed, especially in UAE, KSA, for sure. I mean, when we do usability tests, we look a lot at body language. We look at their facial expressions. We look at all of that. And until tools overtake all of this, we still got jobs a little bit anyway.
That's right. So how is DOT poised to utilize AI?
So actually, so great question. We're actually looking into this for user queue more than DOT. So we're thinking, because it's a tool that we have, how can we utilize ChatGPT or even the new version that's out now, and any other AI tools, right? How can we utilize that? We've actually got some things in the roadmap which are super cool. I won't mention it yet because it's not developed yet, but there's some super cool stuff looking at, because the tools right now in terms of the hardware and software is there. Like, for example, eye tracking, right? We've got eye tracking that's available right now. We've got things like emotional tracking. We've got things like voice synthesis and voice analysis. How do you combine all that together, right? Using AI, let's say, using machine learning. Now that will be something exciting, and that will be coming soon in user queue. Again, you need the right skill sets, you need the right use cases, and that's something that we'll work on in the next few months or years as we go through. But fingers crossed.
Incredible. So as you've grown DOT and now as you're growing user queue, how do you hire? Like, what do you look for when you're hiring? Because I know a lot of designers that are online here, especially with the tech layoffs happening, people might be looking for work. So as a CEO, as a founder, what do you look like what do you look for when you're hiring?
Okay, it's an interesting question actually, because it's slightly different in this region as well. And I'll be very honest, and I'll be quite against the grain a little bit in terms of what we look for. So UX and design and research is a hot industry in UAE and the Middle East, actually, in KSA and everything, right? The appetite is very strong. So a lot of brands are looking for people and good talent of people. So it's attracting a lot of people inside. Aside from that, Dubai itself is attracting a lot of people. Everyone knows, right? You can see, man, trying to get an Uber in the evenings is tough. Everyone knows that it's very, very busy. So it's attracting a lot of expats, and there's appetite for UX and UI designers, right, coming in. Now, what's happening, what I see is a lot of career switches, that want to get into UX and research. And these guys are like, they've been working for like 5 years, 10 years in another field, and they want to get into UX, UI. So we see a lot of that. I think there's been situations, I think, where the expectations of candidates have been skewed because of the past. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say startups and companies that have been really well funded during the time when it was very good in the last 2 years, right? They're throwing money at people, and I think it's kind of skewed expectations a bit. This is my honest truth. I think it's skewed people's expectations.
Right.
On salaries, benefits, and stuff. I'm not saying, we know how skillful the whole professions are. I just think that some people have a different expectation nowadays. And what what happened is, when the winter came, the tech winter came, and people have been laid off, sadly, that expectation still lingers with them, and then they're like, oh, no, hold on, my startup that was funded like $100 million were paying me this much money, right? So I'm worth, even more now. And there's a whole, you need the experience, you need everything. So that's something that I'm seeing in the region a little bit. So what I look for in terms of hiring, obviously there are portfolios, there's your theory, there's everything. There's a few things I look at which is outside the technical side. So number one thing I look for is the work ethic. And it's hard to find that out in interviews, but we need someone with a strong work ethic. And what I mean by that, I don't mean the long hours or anything like that, right? My team don't really work long hours. It's more about personal accountability of your work and the pride in your work.
So that's what I look for. Absolutely.
Like, I mean, there are some people that are just, okay, let's just get it out and let's just do it. There are some people that, no, hold on, I'm not happy with this. This is wrong. And it's that personal accountability that I look for. Did they have, and it's just, I think it's an innate personality. It's just something that people are proud of. That's definitely number one that I look at, the accountability and the work ethic of it. Also passion, because we're a UX company and we deal with clients a lot, the passion has to come. Like, you have to be passionate about users, you have to be passionate about creating seamless experiences. Not just, I'm just going to create this and I'm fine with it, right? My team are always complaining and saying, we should do more research with this client, we should do more projects, why didn't we, push for even more research? And they're always challenging clients for this. They're always saying, guys, come on, you need to test this, you need to validate this hypothesis, whatever it may be. So having passion is very, very important, because it comes out in the work, it comes out when you're dealing with clients and engaging with them. I think that's definitely number two. The third one I would say I look for is the curiosity to learn. And what I mean by this is, UX changes a lot, the trends change.
Yes.
We've got things like, AR, metaverse, all this stuff is coming all the time. And the people that will succeed is people that keep on top of this trend, right? They're the ones who are like always ahead of the game, and they upskill themselves, or they learn about new technologies and new things. There are people that said, okay, I'm going to stick to Sketch because I love it. And then Figma takes over. Like, now everyone's using Figma. So you have to be adaptable to change, adaptable to learn. And that's something I look for. I look for learnability. I look for that innate curiosity in you, that I want to learn more and I want to keep upskilling. They're the kind of three things that I look for from a soft skill perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When we look at technical side of things, we like to give challenges or exercises, because you really understand how they think. Whether it's a research study or it's a UX or it's a UI exercise, we like to give that, because it shows it's not the quality of the end product, because there's no way somebody can create something amazing in a 2-hour exercise or a 1-hour exercise, right, without knowing the background and the context. It's more their thought process. It's more how they're thinking about it, because we're very good at challenging back. Even if it's something small, why did you put this button here? Okay, your IA doesn't make sense, And we're not looking to put holes in them, but it's more how are they challenging back? What is their rationale? What's their justification of certain things? So that's what we look for. I look for those kind of small things. obviously there is a second interview, and my team then go very, very technical about stuff. But me, when I'm asking them, I'm asking them how they respond to challenges. Have they got rationale? Have they got justification from a technical side? Again, a big secret. I also look at small things like when they got their Figma file open. I'm not even looking at the wireframes or anything. I'm actually looking at their folder structure and their left-hand nav and how they're labeled. I'm looking at their artboard and seeing how they label those things, you know. And the reason I do that is because if someone's organized and a bit, you know, clean, it means their mind is like this, right? And it's not messy. they're not gonna miss the details. So there's loads of small things like this that I have a checklist of that I'm looking at. Just gave away my secrets, but you know.
I've met only like a handful of designers who are that organized. Because usually creatives
I'm not expecting, yeah, I'm not expecting everything to be clean. I'm just saying there's a structure behind their work, you know? Because you know, with UX UI, like client will say something, you got to create new screens, you got to create edge cases. It just gets messy and it's very hard to control. And what you're doing is if you're not organized, you're actually making yourself inefficient. You know, so something comes in, you kind of have to go back, your components are not linked, whatever it may be, right?
You're actually making the whole team inefficient.
Exactly right. Yeah. So the more organized you are at the beginning or the more structured, it's actually easier for you and you can make it more efficient as you go forward. So yeah, there's some of the things I look for when I hire. Again, the team, when they look at technical things, there's a lot of different things they ask for. They look at the approach to things like, let's say there's a research study, how would you approach this? You know, because the briefs we get from clients sometimes is like one-liners, you know, and we have to create an approach out of that and say, what is the best research methodology, for example? What's the sample size that we need? So it's again, how do they think about it and why do they recommend certain steps? So they're the kind of things that the technical guys would look at as well. I hope that answers your question.
It does. And you mentioned something interesting that there's a lot of movement towards the UAE and Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
What qualities do you feel like the UAE has that's attracting this talent?
Oh, that's good. So what's affecting the talent? I think their appetite for growth is great. Like, so I would say that people in UAE, whether they're from abroad or anything, once they come here and they settle here, they get used to wanting the best, right? And they get what I call, they start becoming early adopters. Even if they weren't before, they start becoming early adopters. Like if someone launches something new, let's say Kafu, right, the petrol delivery app, yeah? Actually, yeah, let's use this, you know, let's do this. The government releases a new app, yeah, let's try it out. So there's a I think the people here, the consumers generally, I think there's what do you call it, an openness to try new things. You know, generally people living here, they get used to that. Oh, there's I don't know, a new activity, a new tourism spot, a new restaurant, let's try it out. And it's just the culture thing that's happening here. And I think that's a great space for people in product, because they can literally push the boundaries a bit, knowing that actually people may try it out. Yeah, it might not work. Okay?
Right.
But people are trying things. This is my personal opinion, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, they're kind of not closed off to the ideas of, you know, something new, right? And because it's not a mature, when I say mature, I mean like there's still a lot of room for competition, right, within industries. So if someone comes out with something new, there's a propensity to switch very easily. And what I mean by this, let me give an example. Let's say food delivery apps, right? You've got Talabat that was here. Deliveroo came in, and Deliveroo only came in, by the way, 4 years ago. But it's okay. People switched. You know, people are okay with that. They say, okay, this guy is maybe giving me a good experience. Let me try and use this company. So the switchability here, I think people are okay. It's a transient country by nature. So then people are transient. You know, they're like, I'm not sticking to anything. I'm just going to try something new. What works for me?
Right.
So I think that opens up for product guys. That opens up a lot of opportunities. You know, let's try and push the boundaries. Let's do something different. Dubai has always done things different. They've done things better. So why can't we do that? You know, so I think that gives people a chance in UAE to really do this. And also knowing that the government and the infrastructure behind it, it helps, you know, like when 5G came out, you know, like we were the first, or one of the first to adopt it. So if the government's behind it and the infrastructure is there, then hey, there's nothing stopping us going crazy, right? Like, let's do something new.
Exactly.
I remember like in UK, there's so much regulation now, right? I mean, I used to work for a bank, and the regulation there was just crazy. You want to do one small feature, you got to get compliance involved, you got to get marketing involved, you got to get everyone involved, and it takes you 6 months to launch something very, very small, right?
Welcome to
Whereas
my
here, yeah, you know what it's like. You work for a bank, right? So you know what it's like, right? And again, I know the industry is there, but I always felt like the UAE is more of a yes culture. Like, let's try it. Let's do something, rather than, oh, no, we got to ask compliance. We got to do this. We got to run it by the board. We got to, go through massive approval steps. I just felt that here it's a bit more, let's just try it. Let's do something good for the country and people will respect it. So I think that is very, very good for guys in product, whether you're in design or whether you're in as a product manager or even a researcher, people are willing to try different things. That's my feeling.
Incredible. And I noticed that on your profile, you mentioned you're an investor. How did that happen? And tell us about the company you invested in. How's that going? Yeah.
No, so yeah, so I've always been a fan of startups. Like I'm a startup myself, and I always like to support the ecosystem of startups. And I do a lot of talks. I do a lot of advisory roles for people, and I just thought, okay, I've seen companies really excel, and this goes back to the last question as well. Like, you can be a successful company very, very quickly and easily, if you're good at what you do. So if you take the examples of some of the big apps that everyone uses on a day-to-day basis, they're merely like 3 years old, 4 years old, right? Maximum 5. I mean, InstaShop I use about 3 times a day. That's 5 years old, and it's just taken everything by storm. So it goes very, very quickly. So I thought, okay, I need to get into this game. Now, how do I invest in some cool startups that I really, really believe in? That I can help from my expertise point of view, whether it's advisory or just a casual chat, and I can help them grow into this country as well. So, yeah, I've invested in a couple. One's a restaurant, so one's Spades, which is a restaurant payment solution. So you can pay by QR code. It's linked to the POS system. So it's a really cool product. One's Zofa, which is the chauffeur service that you can, so you get someone to drive your car for various different errands. I actually used it today. Yeah, I used it today.
How does it work?
So you just on the app, you just call a driver and they drive your car. So let's say, so let's say you're out in a restaurant and you've been drinking, whatever it may be, and you need a driver, you can do that. If you need someone to go to the service station to fix your car, or the RTA test that you have to do, that's what I did today. And I was in the office, I didn't have time to go, so I just called Zofa. They came, collected it, and took it, and came back and delivered it. So it's just it's a on-demand driver, basically.
Interesting. How does the guy show up at your place in a car?
Yeah, like, they come in a car. You don't see the car, but they come in uniform and then drive your car. I think someone follows them behind. I'm not sure how it works, but
okay, interesting.
As a customer, as a user, all I see is the seamless experience. I don't know the back end and how that works. But that's another one. And the other one I've invested in is a venture studio, Enhance, because they're coming out with some really cool products. And it's the first kind of venture studio that was here in the region. And I'm used to venture studios from US and UK. So I thought, okay, this is a good model to invest in. So there's the three. In terms of what I look for, it's kind of strange, but it's like, okay, I'll give you my background. So I've always been an early adopter, right? You won't believe that my email address is a Hotmail account before, it's not Gmail, it's before Microsoft even bought it over. So it was back in the day, like really, really early. And I was an early adopter there. I was one of the first people using Facebook, first people using LinkedIn, everything, right? What I never did is I never put investment into things that I like to use, right? And I realized this over time. I'm like, oh my God, if I invested in Facebook when I started using it, right, 2004 or whatever it was, I would have been like a millionaire by now, right? Amazon I used ages ago when it was just books. It was just books. I still remember it being books. So I thought saying, if I'm an early adopter and I use it as a product, then shouldn't I invest in it? Because the product market fit is there, right? It's me using it. So with Zofa, I've used it. With Spades, which is the restaurant dining, I've used it. So I started thinking, so what I look for is, will I use it myself as a consumer, if it's a B2C play? Second thing, the most important thing I look at is the founders. Every person has ideas, like everyone has ideas, okay? I would say, and most people don't realize how hard execution is. Execution is the most difficult thing ever. I mean, as a founder, you're dealing with everything. You're dealing with finance, HR, product market fit, marketing, funding, so much.
Yeah.
It's
You really have to be an operator.
yeah, you have to be persistent, you have to have grit. And so I look at founders a lot when I'm investing in any and again, I'm not a big investor, I'm like an angel investor, but I look at the founders, and if they have that grit and I can see it, then it doesn't really matter about their product, because they will pivot. If they see something not working, they will change the whole product.
Exactly. I think that's key actually for entrepreneurs, being able to,
Exactly. Yeah, they'll just change the model, right? And they'll make it happen. And even the market size, people look at market size, but market size changes. I don't believe in market size, because, your market size could be small and grow massively, or you could create your own market. There's a whole thing about it. It's more about I look at the founders, the product itself. That do I use it? That's mainly what I look at when I look at investments as well. So,
amazing. Thank you. We've got a question here from Alan. Hot topic and trend these days is the ultra mobile app.
Okay.
Sometimes called the super app, I think. So what do you feel are some of the things we need to consider when it comes to ultra apps, super apps, from a UX perspective?
So I think with super apps and ultra apps, what mistakes people make is that every brand wants to make a super app because they've seen the success of, let's say, WeChat in China or whatever it is. What they don't realize is that super apps always start with a core offering and a core product, and you do it super well. Okay. In WeChat, it was a chat thing. With Kareem, it was the ride hailing, right? So there's always what I call a core offering, and you do that super well, right? And you get known for that. Whether that's payment or it's ride hailing or it's food delivery, whatever it may be, you have to do something well, and then get the brand up, get the market share, and then start building around it. You can't just say, hey, we've got nothing, I'm just going to build a super app. What? No one knows you, no one trusts you, no one's going to do this. It gets messy. But like, if you trust, let's say, Kareem, for example, right? They've turned into a super app. They've got lots and lots of different services, but they started off with one core offering. Even with another super app, say you've got payment as a core offering. There's so many, like, let's say it's peer-to-peer payment, I'm paying you. That's their core offering. There's so much you can build around this, right? There's so much you can add, and it's a natural evolution. So super apps, I think, should be evolved. It shouldn't be just, let's just design a super app. This is my personal feeling, and the UX wise, it all depends on the app itself. But a lot of people just put in service offerings as a super app. Like, we do this, now we do this, now press the buttons.
Yeah.
My feeling is we should base it more on tasks and more on what they want to do, right? Rather than, here's my different entities that I've clobbered together and it all looks the same. It's the square chips, the square, cards. And I'm like, okay, how do we make it a bit more personalized? How do we make it a bit more use case based or task case based? That's what I think we should get to. But again, that's just my opinion. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but
yeah, that makes total sense. That makes sense. So I had a bit of a left field question for you. What makes you lose sleep at night?
Oh, that's a good question. So what makes me lose sleep at night? I would say the well-being of my employees. As a agency owner, you've got employees, and when I say well-being, like, at the end of the day, my job is to make sure they have a job. Right? That's basically what I need to do. Right? And so when I mean keeps me awake is like, okay, have we got enough pipeline? Have we got enough cash? Is cash flow okay? Is all of this stuff? Because so when Brooke and I started, by the way, the company, we made a pact that we will never ever miss a salary payment, right? Because we don't have cash. We said that cannot happen. That is number one priority, because there's people that are relying on their livelihood for us, right? And it's a responsibility that happens. So as part of that, you got to make the business work, and you got to, whether it's COVID or the recession, it doesn't matter. You got to go through with it. So that keeps me up at night. Like, what can I do? What is happening? What is the future looking like? How do I grow? It's that kind of stuff that makes me think, okay, I still need to have the company, make sure everyone's happy, and we grow together. I think that's probably the thing that's always at night.
Wow. Yeah. That answer actually makes me think of another question I wanted to ask you. So in light of what you just said, what do you wish your people knew about what it takes to be a CEO or to be their CEO?
what would they like to know? Or
No, what do you wish they knew
yeah.
about what it's like, what it actually
Oh
means to
yeah.
be the CEO of DOT?
Yeah, I think I would love it if it's like the iceberg. No one knows what happens in the background.
Yeah.
And if we could be transparent about that, because there's so much you're doing, and it's like the swan or whatever it is, where they're gliding beautifully, but underneath they're pedaling like
Underneath,
crazy. That's exactly what we do. And again, we can't share that with everyone. We can't share that with we are as transparent as possible with our employees, but there's certain things that people just don't know that we're doing. And there's always an agenda behind something. So if there's a question I'm asking for a certain process, or I'm asking for a new way of doing something, it's not because I just felt like it in the morning. It's not,
Yeah.
I wake up, I'm just going to annoy everyone. It's more, there's a hidden agenda. There's something in the background that I'm going for. And I can't explain everything all the time, but I like to give my vision. I like to give, everyone knows the vision of DOT. Everyone knows where we're going, but the intricate details, you don't just get time to explain. So there's always a reason behind everything. And I wish, the team, anybody working for us here should know that there is an agenda. There's something that's pushing him to do this. And he's frantically working to make things happen. When COVID happened, by the way, we hired 4 people that started in February 2020 because of a massive pipeline that we had.
Ouch.
And then March hit and all the pipeline just disappeared, completely disappeared.
Wow.
But we never let go of anybody. We never did. And I told the team that, and I said, look, guys, I'm not going to let you go at all. We're going to do whatever happens, whatever we can in our power to make sure we survive through this period. And I guarantee you, once we survive, we're going to be back on top, because everyone's going to go digital, right? And it's going to be even more important. So we just need to survive through this period. And no one would know what Brooke and I went through to make that happen. Like the things we negotiated with our suppliers, all the payment terms that we did, there was a lot that we had to go through just to make sure our cash flow survives throughout that period. So yeah, I wish we knew the iceberg, or the bottom of the iceberg.
Wow, that's quite powerful. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so what would you say to someone thinking of starting a business in the UAE? Because I've spoken to some designers who either want to go freelance or they want to open a studio.
Yeah.
What would you say to them? Yay or nay?
I think I'm always a passionate person for startups. So I say go for it, but do not deny or do not be blind to the amount of work and the hard work there is. It's not easy at all. And I would say, look at what skills you have. And what I mean by that is being let's say a designer or a researcher is fine. And it's great because there's a skill set associated with it. But when you start your own agency, that skill set is kind of it's like on the side.
Oh yeah.
You'll have a team that does this stuff. No, but you'll have to get involved in lots of things that you maybe don't want to get involved in, like finance, cash flows, not just that, even pitching. Like you could be amazing with clients, but can you sell? Can you actually sell? At the end of the day, you're the face of the company, and you have to go out there, negotiate with clients. They'll call you, and say, this is not working for me, etc., etc. So you have to, are you ready for that? A lot of people don't realize how hard work it is, and it's not just using your skills. You're not going to be there designing anymore. As your company gets bigger, there's going to be a lot of other things you're going to do. So are you ready for that? That's all I'm saying. I definitely say go for it, because UAE is the place to go. There's a lot of business to go around. And one thing I say is that in this country, if you are good at what you do and you establish yourself, then you can really, really fly, because competition is hard to come by. Like it's not that companies will pop up everywhere, because everyone here is on a visa and they're working for someone. It's very hard for them to transition out. And it's hard for people sitting abroad to say, hey, I'm going to come to Dubai without a job and I'm going to just start something.
Oh yeah.
So, it's very, very difficult. So if you're established and you're good at what you do, then you can fly, so once you're there, you're there. But getting to that stage is the hardest part. Switching from a stable income to this is the hardest part. But I say to everyone, just go for it. Like, decide, follow your passion, follow what you want to do, but just make sure it is what you want to do. Like all the other stuff that you get.
Incredible. So people seem to be loving this startup discussions we're having.
I've got lots to say. Don't worry. I can. talk a
Do you
lot
have any
about it.
other like nuggets of wisdom when it comes to what it actually takes to succeed as a startup?
Yeah, I would say the best thing, I think, the number one success criteria in a startup world, if anyone can guess, is timing. It's it's all timing. Timing is the success factor. Now, if I launched digital things 5 years before I did, I would have failed in Dubai, right, for sure, because no one knew what UX was, no one knew what research was. If I launched 5 years later than I did, I would have failed because there's lots of other companies coming in, there's competition building up. So I always say that a startup is always about timing, and the timing has to be right. And it's catching on to that trend, right? It's not being late in the game, and it's not being too early, because you can fail if you're too early in the game. So I launched, by the way, I launched a startup in 2008, and it was a marketplace connecting people. It's for the wedding industry, and it was a subscription thing. I was way early in the game for subscription at that time, and way early for a marketplace, right? And it didn't do well because, well, it did. I mean, it wasn't successful as such. Let's say it that way. It's because people were not ready for it. They're like, "Oh, I'm paying on a monthly basis. What is this? You know, I don't pay monthly anywhere." Um, and even marketplace was tough. People self-servicing online, like uploading their things. That wasn't really. It was getting there, but it was. I was a bit too early in the game, you know. So I say it's all about this. If you look at some of the successful companies out there, let's take Facebook. One of the reasons for their success is the timing of the iPhone and the smartphone. If people were using Facebook on desktop, but hey, as soon as people are on the go, they can check in, they can upload photos, all this kind of stuff. Instagram, now you've got better cameras on your phones, right? Imagine, I mean, I've been using phones since ages, and remember the little green phones with a camera that was fuzzy? Instagram would never work with this, right? So
Exactly.
it's all about timing. It's about getting the timing right in the market, and I would say that's the number one success criteria for any business. So, if anybody on the call wants to start something, have a look at the timing. Have a look at what's happening in the future, in the next year, 2 years, and just latch on to that trend. Basically, that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's really true, really true. So we've got a question here, which actually aligns to something you said earlier
Mm-hmm.
about people transitioning into UX.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, when you transition into UX, you are more or less mid to junior, right?
Yeah.
So, question here from Sneha:
Mm-hmm.
with overwhelming content online and exposure
Mm-hmm.
to information, what do you think is the best piece of advice for people going into UX?
Okay, great question. Yeah, great question. There is so much out there nowadays, and we see a lot. We see career changes or even juniors that are just graduating. They do courses, they do the Google course, and they do the Nielsen Norman, they do the General Assembly. And that's great, by the way. So having the theory is super important. Having theory in UX is very, very important, because there are certain best practices, there are certain things that we can do. But the most important thing is practice, is putting it into practice. Now, I say this so strongly, because whatever you learn in theory, and that's, this, like when you apply it to practice, they're completely different, right? Completely different.
Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the theory, you've got time to build something, and here your stakeholders, your clients are, I need this now, like, forget research, do it quickly, do guerrilla, so having that theory is super good, by the way, and you should definitely have that. Just apply it with, I would say, practical experience. Now, uh, for any career changes out there, do not think that investing 6 months in a, let's say, internship, or 3 months internship, or a very junior position, or a bit junior than I'm used to, is bad for me and I'm going down. Trust me, because when you come out of that, you're just going to fly in the UX field,
Yeah,
having
for
that experience,
sure.
right?
For
So anything practical you can do, even if you can't get internship or you can't get a junior job, and you want to transition to UX, there's nothing stopping you saying, I'm going to design my own app. I'm just going to design something that I'm passionate about, whether it's, I don't know, pets, mental health, whatever, well-being, anything. You could just design something. It will make you learn so many different things. It will help you, stop you making mistakes. That theory you learn, you apply in practice. There's things that you say, hey guys, you're a startup, let me help you out. Let me just do something. It's just for me, but can I put it on my portfolio? If I do help you out, don't pay me whatever, or pay me a small amount. So I think there are creative ways you can get practical experience, and even if it's for a short time, I guarantee you the amount you learn from that experience is just mind blowing. and it also helps the employer when they see something. Yeah, I would say definitely as a advice, try and get some sort of practical experience in whatever way you can. By the way, in our company, we're big fans of career changes, because people need. There's no degree in UX as such, right? I mean, there are certain things coming out now, but there's no like degree, so it's very hard for people to get in unless they do these courses, and people do want to get into the game. So we had, to give an example, we had one girl who was a teacher. She's an actual teacher, professor. And she wanted to get into UX. So she did the course in, I think it's abroad, remotely. And then she came to us and we offered her a junior job, very junior, to start with. She still works with us. She is absolutely amazing. One of our best. She's really, really good, great UX, great research, great with clients. And she's just picked up so well.
Wow.
We've promoted her. We've given her more salary ever, So the investment that she put, so she started lower, and now she's like completely excelling. Like she's really, really good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's one example. Another girl, she's from the startup space, the investment space. So, and she's been working for a while. She's probably working for about 8 years, something like that, in corporate life. And she said, no, I'm bored of this. I want to get into UX, and she really loves UX, and she's got passion. So we hired her again, looking at work ethic, passion. The things I was saying, right? This is based on. And she's loving it, and she's been absolutely amazing. But she interned for us, right? And she did a short period of internship, and then she wants to follow on as a career. But she invested her time to get that practical experience, and that's been completely invaluable. And she's absolutely amazing, by the way. She's really, really good. So,
wow, that's incredible. That's actually an incredible culture you have. So if you're hiring, where do people find jobs at DOT? Do you have a careers page?
We do have a careers page. You can. We're always looking at it. I always keep a list of people applying and things like that. Our hiring is sporadic because it depends on the clients, depends on the projects, and all this kind of stuff. We're looking for funding for UserQ now because UserQ is the actual product. Once we get funding, then we'll start hiring a lot for UserQ. But yeah, keep a lookout. Even if you just email us, we always keep it on file because when we do need it, we always make sure that we know the best people. So yeah, you can reach out to us.
Yeah. Okay. So in the spirit of funding startups, how much money are you looking to raise? If anyone that's watching wants to invest.
So UserQ, because it's a product, there's a lot of investment needed in development, design. Building a startup is tough, and marketing and PR. So we raised a family and friends round to build a product. This is before it was just an idea. So we built it with friends and family, not for digital things, for UserQ. And now we're looking for the seed funding. So we're looking for our first round is going to be like $2 million at the moment, and that will help us for the next 2 years grow the company in terms of marketing, PR, and just get it out there and have a full team. Right now, it's a very lean team that's doing all the hard work, but we want to get some more resources in as well to speed up the execution.
Amazing. And what stage is the product actually in? Beta?
It's launched. No, so it's out of beta now, just this year. So we just launched it. We're actually launching something exciting in the next week. We're doing some prototype testing, so you can actually integrate your Figma. That's coming soon. So before we launch the product, you iterate, you see lots of bugs, you iron them all out. So now it's a good state now, and we're continuously improving anyway. But it's out of beta stage at the moment. So.
Amazing. And your development is in-house or outsourced? What is your take on outsourced versus in-house development?
So, that's a great question as well. A lot of people will say in-house, but it depends on the balance. So I have a partner company that I've been working with for about 3-4 years. They're actually like a partner company of us where we do the design and they do development. So we've been working closely with them and they're doing the product for us. So it's offshore. And again, because it's offshore, it's much cheaper for us. You guys know Dubai salaries are crazy. If I had to hire the team here, I'd run out of funding in like 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So ideally, I would love to get it in-house because then you can have that full control. But I'm always balancing costs against the value and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's what you should do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So right now it's outsourced, but one day hopefully I'll get it in-house. But yeah, it is better to have it in-house for sure. Having a CTO and having a whole team. Because they're aligned to your processes. If your design's in sprints, you can do development in sprints. It just goes very, very quickly. But right now, because of the price differences, I'm okay with how it's working right now.
Awesome. So we're almost at the 1 hour mark. I just have one last question.
Sure. Yeah.
What does the future look like for you? World
For me?
domination or peaceful retirement for you?
No, not retirement. People, there's no such thing as retirement if you love, you know, like I love what I do. I love coming to the office. I love working for the clients, and you know what we say is that we're improving experiences for everyone, and that's a great thing to do. So yeah, retirement's far away, and you never retired anyway, right? So for me, yeah, world domination, yeah. But let's do MENA domination first. So we're opening in Saudi.
Yeah.
we're launching in Saudi. It's nearly done. We're just waiting for the bank account.
Wow, congrats. So that's DOT Saudi?
Yeah, DOT Saudi is launching very soon. We've got 2 people there that are amazing. So that's there. Then let's see if there's other countries that we can dominate in MENA, because I think it's underserved at the moment. Even Asia. Yeah, Kuwait, for example, Bahrain, all these kind of places. And then maybe Asia. Like I think India, Pakistan are going to grow massively because their startup culture is really cool. So I think they're going to have demand for better UXs there. Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong, and then we'll go global. So a lot of people, a lot of other agencies go global, and then they come into Middle East. We're going Middle East and out. That's our plan.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds really good. So actually, Saudi is very interesting. So what would you advise people that are looking to come to Dubai? Is Saudi a viable alternative?
Yeah, I would say so. I think I've been Saudi a few times, and it's changed. Every time I've gone, it's changed so much. See, Saudi has a massive appetite. They got a huge appetite, and they got the funding to match, and the government's behind it. When you've got a combination like that in any country, you know it's going to be successful, right?
That's the story of Dubai.
Exactly, that's the story of Dubai, and Saudi's going to be the same. So I have a strong feeling that Saudi's going to grow massively. What I've noticed is, like the Middle East generally and UAE, they've got an exponential curve, right, in digital penetration and digital thing, which is great compared to, let's say, UK, Europe, where it's a bit more mature. But the Middle East in general is quite exponential. Saudi is just leapfrogging everything, right? So yeah, like if you like the first cinema that was launched there, it was one of our clients actually in UAE. I think they went digital only. Like there was never a cinema. A cinema got launched and they went digital only. So you can buy tickets, popcorn, everything up front on your app before you get there, and it's all ready for you. I mean,
wow.
That's what I mean.
So you mean there's no like queuing at the teller?
That's what I heard. Yeah, I never visited. So I might be wrong, but this is what I heard. I heard it just went straight there. I heard of a bank that was launched and there's no staff. They're all behind a door. It's in a mall, and you can literally get your credit card and your debit card printed there and then when you open an account, right? Wow. You don't have to wait for the post. You don't have to wait for anything. It's just you do your KYC checks and it comes out. And I'm like, okay, so this is the kind of appetite, and this is the growth I think is coming.
That's exciting.
It's exciting for sure. So that's why we launched in Saudi as well as UAE.
Oh wow, yeah, that's exciting.
But we do get, like, it's not siloed. Like we get UAE clients that want to do research in Saudi as well as UAE. We get the same with Saudi. It's kind of, I would say, the whole region, that are kind of working together to make better experiences for everyone. So that's what I'm seeing at the moment.
Wow, thank you so much, Sudipt. This has been an incredible chat. I think we'll plan something and have Brooke on as well.
Yes, please.
And hear things from her perspective.
Sure, that'd be good.
Yeah,
awesome. I hope everyone enjoyed it on the call. I hope I gave.
According to the comments, they have. This has been incredible to have someone of your caliber come on and just speak honestly. And I think it's been really valuable. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who came online.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Cheers. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.